Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Let's talk about Porsha and Jordan. So, they waste no time with it, okay? Porsha, walks up in Jordan's office, slams the door, and it's like, oh, what's going on? Why do you keep sitting there making these little comments with Curtis about, people not being trustworthy and stuff like that? And Jordan's like, all right, you know what, listen, I'm just going to cut straight to the chase. And she's like, is Curtis, um, Trina's father? Now, here's the thing about this whole conversation. There's not one point where Porsha denies that. Okay? Instead, what Porsha does is try to deflect. Oh, why are you sitting there hanging on to Curtis for? Are you still in love with him? This, that, and the third. Now, granted, Jordan didn't exactly answer that question either. Okay? But Jordan, was like, hey, listen, the papers got lost, yada, yada, yada. I mean, we know that Portia's not there. I mean, we know that Jordan's covering for Stella. But she didn't deny. She didn't deny not still having feelings for Curtis. What she did was tell Porsha, instead of you deflecting about Curtis and my feelings for him, why don't you just be honest? And of course, she talks about the genetic counseling and everything like that. And, Porsha, I'm like, listen, okay, because you can see the look on her face, the scared, terrified look, while she's trying to act all brave and tough. I'm like, boo, you brought this on yourself. Okay, the moment that you walked in that office, okay, the minute that you walked in that office, you practically walked into the damn battleground. So whatever happens, happens. So I did not feel bad for Portia throughout this whole conversation. Trying to use Curtis as some sort of deflection and her feelings for Curtis has nothing to do with the fact that Jordan called you out for it, saying that aren't you, you're probably worried about Trina having schizophrenia from Marshall. Go back and forth, back and forth. And, on top of that, Jordan does bring out their little time in the cabin of almost dying and, you know, Portia making that confession talking about, oh, I never really got to tell Curtis or Trina something. Now, she didn't say what it was. And to be honest, they were inhaling so much fumes or whatever that she probably couldn't make out the whole thing, but she do remember hearing that part. Now, after Curtis is snipped there telling Trina, like, you got to be careful. You can't just be walking around here. There's a killer on the loose. Um, because everyone kind of split off, and she went to the hospital by herself. After that, um, Trina talks to Ava. And Trina brings up the whole Cam thing and Spencer and how Cam lied to her. And, she was like, well, they made up or whatever, but she wasn't happy with Cam about the whole lying thing. And I'm like, boo, aren't you lying to Cam about Jocelyn and her little dumpster diving adventure with Dex? So I don't understand how she can sit there and say those two sentences. Or how she can say that sentence with a straight face, talking about I'm mad at Cam for keeping a secret, when you're doing the exact same thing to his face. I don't get it. Curtis wants Ava to fire Trina because, when the attacker came straight for Ava. Working at the gallery, and what if one day, Ava's not there? So Trina's gonna be pissed about that. Okay? Ava brings Trina in and says, I can't be your boss anymore. Now, I don't know if Ava's going to sit there and tell the truth or she's just going to sit there and cover it up, but eventually the truth is going to be found out, and Trina is not going to be happy about that. And I get why Curtis is doing what he's doing. At first, I wasn't a fan of it, and I'm still not a fan of it, but I understand that his heart is in the right place. Doesn't really matter because she's going to be pissed off. Tiger was there. He didn't really do too much of anything. He was just kind of there to be there, but it was nice to see him. So that's cool. It was nice to see him. So Sonny, if you saw the previews yesterday, got him tied up. It's not a meat locker this time, but got him tied up. It's torturing him, asking him questions like, why'd you want to work for me? And of course, Dex just lies and lies and lies because, at this point, let's be honest. I think if he actually told the truth, there's a good chance that Sonny. Mm, no, Sonny wouldn't kill him because then I'll implicate Michael, so Sonny wouldn't kill him. But Dex holds up, through the torturing and the beating and stuff like that, through the initial beating. Then Sonny practically gets, I'm not even going to sit there and use that reference. Sonny calls in an expert, okay? He actually called in a guy that specializes in torture. A good reference from Miss Wu. So he brings in this guy, and this guy comes in with his own little toolkit. I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, what I feel like I'm watching an episode of Dexter. But he comes in there, and Sonny's like, listen, I got something to do, I got something to handle, but, good luck with all that. So he leaves, and the guy's like, yeah. Well, he doesn't really say anything. He's just really silent. He starts laying out the tools and taking off the sheets or whatever. And Dex's like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get how this game's going to work. I'm going to break before you even start using whatever you're going to use on me. Michael is with Sam for a little bit, talking about Diane, tries to get in contact with Dex, and he leaves because he finds out that Dex's been released by Sonny, so he goes to Sonny. And first he's like, what's going on? Do you know who the killer is? Just to kind of make up some sort of smoke screen or whatever. Like, do you know who the killer is? Everyone's being targeted by association of you. And eventually he starts acting about Dex. And he starts trying to defend Dex without being too obvious, but he was already obvious to me. He was like, do you think Dex did it? He's just a driver, this, that, and the third. And now Sonny's like, why are you so concerned with Dex for? Because Sonny, when he initially came in Sonny's place, Sonny was like, yo, you want nothing to do with me, so you don't get to sit there and know what I do, where I go, what I do with my drivers, my employees, whatever. You don't get to know that. So now I'm just like, Michael could sit there and rationalize it to an extent. Like, if something happens to Dex because of Sonny, he could just be like, well, he knew the risk. But the thing about Michael is that through the toughness and everything like that, he is still a good person. So if Dex was to get, let's say, murdered or disappeared, as he likes to say, or as he used to like to say, I'm pretty sure that would weigh on Michael's conscience. Spinelli. Now we're starting to somewhat get somewhere. Okay, that didn't really make any sense, but now we're starting to get somewhere. So Spinelli, I guess, finished, tucking Georgiana, whatever. And, he sees Maxie and Austin kissing, so he kind of interrupts them. He talks for a little bit, and then he heads out. And he talks to Sam, and he admits that he still has feelings for Maxie. So he also talks about, he also says he admits that he is behind, society's setup, and that he can be in a lot of trouble by the feds because of, the whole data mining thing. Like, he didn't sit there and say the reason why, but he was like, yeah, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, eventually, he's going, I'm assuming, and hopefully, he's going to sit there and name Cody as somebody who's blackmailing him, as somebody who knows what Spinelli is doing. Oh, I'm not going to lie. I think this may actually get good because at some point, if Sam or Dante somehow finds out, now he's going to have to choose. He's going to have to sit there and choose Sam and his love for Sam, protecting his friend Spinelli, who is doing something highly illegal, or he's going to sit there and turn Spinelli in. And I don't think he's going to do that because the last time he trusted the legal system to some extent Well, he turned in his brother, and we all know what happened at that point. Granted, he did get him out within like 3 months, um, which I'm not even going to really go into that, but the point is, he thought he was doing the right thing initially, and the judge wound up sending Michael to 3 to 5 years. So I don't know if he's actually going to make that same mistake again, but it's definitely going to be a conundrum with him. So Cody stops by Maxie's place, and at first he runs into Spinelli, and Spinelli's like, "Oh, you can't come in here," or as he says, "You shall not pass." Um, but Cody's like, "Hey, listen, I still got dirt on you," and Spinelli's like, "You can't just sit there and just hang that over my head anytime you want." I'm like, Spinelli, you don't exactly know how blackmail works, do you? He can sit there and throw that in your face anytime he wants, just because. Anyway, at some point, Cody gets in there and he starts talking about Mac. Now, Maxie thinks that Cody knows that Mac can possibly be his dad. So she blurts it out, and Cody's like, "Nah, I was just bluffing about that." So they kind of have this conversation about the fact that Mac could be his father, given that he knew Dominique. Um, they spent some time together and stuff like that. And, Max is like, I don't understand why you're so upset. I mean, Mac is a great guy compared to Leopold, who was, well, what I'm hearing, human garbage. So Max is like, yo, you should be happy at this point. Austin didn't really do anything in this episode. He seemed like he's going to be more useful in the next episode, which is kind of a shame because it's like he didn't really do too much of anything in this episode. He was just there to be there. Of course, Austin got his little blackmail situation of his own with his cousin. You know his cousin's name. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot it. I may mention it at the end if I remember our cheat using Google. I almost actually forgot about Joss in this episode. So she gets down to the police station and she talks to Dante. They bring up Dex, and at first Joss is like, "There's no way that he can, he's the killer. He's been there, helping out. You helped me out with Ava and Diane and stuff like that." But Dante brings up the fact that, well, what Joss brung up was she said she went down there to, because she remembers something as far as like a clicking sound. Um, and Dante was like, that's the thing that Brando remembered was like a clicking sound of like metal being like clanked together. And of course, at that point, Dante was like, dog tags. And Josh thought about that, when she returned the sunglasses and everything like that. So now at this point, it's hella looking like it's Dex. Okay? Because after a while, even Josh was like, yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean, I know that she doesn't want to jump into conclusions, but given the dog tags, given the fact that he was there at all three crime scenes, I mean, if it's not him, this person seems is this person seems hella good as far as framing somebody. Hell, I would even sit there and say better than Clyde from Days of Our Lives at this point. The fact that he matched the dog tags, it's pretty good. Now they sat there and actually talked about Star Wars with Spinelli and Sam for like a good 3 to 4 minutes, and I was like, "Yo, we get it. ABC owns Star Wars." I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with Star Wars, but it was just like it just seemed like such a random topic, you know. I mean, I get that, Spinelli is trying to get Georgia into watching Star Wars and stuff like that, but like after like a good 2 minutes, it was like, all right, bro, we get it. Like we all get it. I think that's about it. I don't think I really missed too much crucial information. You can honestly, in all reality, you can honestly skip this episode. Probably watch tomorrow's episode. Seems like it's going to be a little bit more better. But first day episode, I mean, like, unless you're really bored, I mean, like, really bored, you can either watch my review, you can watch Brock TV's review. Um, you could just go on Google and just kind of get the synopsis. But as far as watching it, I would sit there and say you're good. Anyway, I know this video is coming out a bit later on. This issue with my controller and started messing up a lot. And I forgot that I actually had a spare controller, but trying to unpair one controller with another controller, it took a lot longer than what I initially intended on, and it just kind of pushed back a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna get this video out, and hopefully this computer, but it's this laptop can finish charging. Because I was trying to do a 7:30 stream, and I'm still gonna go for that. And hopefully by 7:30, it should I don't want to sit there and set a time and then have to sit there and change it. But I don't want to make it too late because I'm still trying to do this YNR review, which I don't know why because I just don't feel like it's in the cars today. So I'm going to sit there and say 8 o'clock. I'm just going to sit there and say 8 o'clock. This way, if I come on early or it gets done early, then I can sit there and change it. But I like to, give warning and enough time to, let people know. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. And I'll see you in the next video.